Hey guys, Alex975 here today, and as you can see in the title of today's video, I wanted to make a video discussing why I think Sony should completely stop making Spider-Man related movies. Now, before anyone misunderstands what I'm talking about, I am leaving out the Spider-Verse movies, and that's the ones with Miles Morales. They're doing very well and they're brilliant movies, and I'm confident that the third one will be just as good as the other two, and that'll be a perfect trilogy. But what I'm talking about is more Sony's live-action Spider-Man villain-themed movies. That's kind of they're building up to the Sinister Six movie, which they kind of just did like all the other companies like DC and some other companies that I can't think of off the top of my head. But trying to make an overarching story like the Avengers and trying to copy Marvel's success. But it's not working out because simply Sony aren't making good movies. They've made 5 of these villain movies, and one of them is a sequel to the first villain movie, that's Venom. And I would argue that there's only one of them that was actually pretty decent, and decent is at best, and that's Venom. So I do think Venom 2 was pretty bad, and that's probably the most controversial thing I'm going to say, but most people would only say it was mid anyways, but I think it was bad. Obviously Madam Web was bad, and then Morbius was bad obviously, but Venom was pretty decent in my opinion. A lot of people say it's bad and some people just say it's mid, but either way no one's calling it great. So Sony has not had a great track record, and honestly, they should have stopped already. Now, they did obviously introduce Vulture in Morbius end credits and all, so they're really ready to make this Sinister Six happen now, but it just won't work because they've made completely, these villains are actually just heroes that are just perceived to be villains, and they don't have a Spider-Man. Now, you might be thinking, oh, they might bring Andrew Garfield back, because I heard that going around a lot, and that probably won't happen because Andrew Garfield has said he won't do anything with Sony unless Marvel is directly involved. That's the same with Tom Holland, and Tobey Maguire hasn't talked about it, but Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland are the more realistic options because they're younger. Actually, I think Andrew Garfield might be older than Tobey Maguire, but the two of them are the only ones that are interested, but they both want Marvel to be directly included with it. They actually don't trust Sony, which who could blame them? Andrew Garfield especially is a perfect example. He's been in 2 Sony Marvel movies and they've been pretty terrible, but everyone saw his potential and he went to the MCU and he was arguably the best Spider-Man of the 3 in No Way Home. That's just my opinion, but you're free to have your own. But as I was saying, Sony just hasn't got a great lineup going, and now it's starting to go wrong for them in the box office, and they're not. I think the profits from Venom 2 are keeping them going, but right now this franchise just needs to stop now. They need to realize they made their money while the trend to make crappy superhero movies was going around and everyone just wanted to watch anything that was coming out, and now they have to go back to the drawing board, or they just need to stop completely, which is my opinion, because they made loads of money from Venom, and even though Morbius, Madam Web, and I think that was it. I'm sorry, I think I'm forgetting one. Morbius, Madam Web, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. Either way, they were both flops, box office wise and critically. So Sony still have the profit over the 4 movies, but they are starting to now waste their whole profit, and in my opinion they've made their money and they should stop. Now obviously Sony is such a big company that they don't actually care about those couple millions. They're looking for the big franchise, but it's realistically not going to happen, and they're more likely to do well if they start making separate movies that are not conjoined to any other movies, like the Spider-Verse movies, which are doing absolutely amazing and will continue to make money even long after they're out because they are critically acclaimed. So that's why I think Sony should just stop this Spider-Verse, and that's probably what I should have titled the video, but it's a much more complicated title to title it that. But they should just stop their whole Spider-Man villain universe, and I think that's what most people were thinking when they clicked onto this video. If anyone thought that I was actually talking about the Spider-Verse movies, no, I love those movies. But yeah, it's a bit weird because Sony have proven that they can do amazing movies, but they're also doing a lot of terrible movies. So they have the potential to be good, but I feel like Madam Web was the last straw for me. I do feel like after Morbius, Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and now Madam Web, I feel like their track record is just too bad to give them any chances. And like Venom wasn't anything to write home about. It was just a simple movie that did well because everyone wanted to see something at that time. It was a big superhero time to watch anything to do with superheroes, supervillains. Also, people were kind of confused whether Venom would be included in the MCU. Also, Sony have been self-aware enough to, like in Morbius, tease that they're connected to the MCU, but not really. And in Madam Web, they had to completely do reshots because it was originally supposed to be in the MCU, but now they don't know what it's going to be about. And they kind of did like a transfer with Vulture into the new Sonyverse, which I think was completely stupid because he could have had potential to come back in the MCU, especially with that end credits with Scorpion. And now that he's been brought to the Sonyverse, he may never be shown again, but it wouldn't make sense to bring him back to the MCU without an explanation. So they've kind of ruined that character even before he's even set onto the screen. But obviously Marvel just lost plans with him, and Sony probably offered a lot of money to get him. So yeah, it was probably like a transfer deal, something like that, and they probably made a load of money. Marvel did probably, because they probably weren't going to use Vulture for much. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. If you do like this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel, and comment down below that you want to see more like this, and I might make a more in-depth video about this. So anyways, that's all for today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.